everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. Today we're going to be starting a new journal. We're going to be doing our Christmas journal, and I am calling it Classic Christmas. I kind of went back and forth between classic, old-fashioned, and I decided classic's probably best. So we're going to call it Classic Christmas, and it's got some really pretty colors that we're going to be using. And of course, we're going to be doing the Amazon packaging. So, I'm going to get started on this in just a minute. I'm going to get you guys pulled up so I can see chat. We are live on Facebook if you see the little red button at the top left. If not, you're catching a replay. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. Okay, so starting a new journal, and let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and hey Lori, I'm gonna get started and pull this camera up top. We've got some sewing to do today, so it'll be a little complicated with moving. So if that bothers you, I apologize ahead of time. It's always complicated when I do the sewing, but there's really no way around it because this is a sewn style. So. All right, so let's pull this camera up top so we can get started. Assume volume's okay. I didn't ask, but I assume it is. All right, 1 second. Ooh, focus. Okay, that should be the right direction. Let's see if we're straight on the grid. Right about there. Okay. Get our lights kind of sort of good. It's always like a shadow, and I can't tell if it's from my iPad or if it's just me looking at the iPad in an angle. I think it's all right. I don't see it on my phone. I only see it on my iPad. It's like the whole bottom, like 4 inches, has a shadow. Very strange. All right, so I've got everything cut out just to save time, but I'll talk about it briefly. So first thing is that I do is find a bag that is the size I want. And lately I've been using these M8 bags just because they're a little bit bigger than the, I think, M2s. I'm going to pull a actual one out. Well, I'll just pull my whole stack because I don't know where they are in there. Let's see. So, yeah, this is the M2, which works great if you're doing one signature. It's just the right size for like a 6x9 one signature, but it does not work if you're doing more than one signature. And I'm only going off the sizes that I get in my mail, because these are all from actual packages that I got. I always take the labels off with a blow dryer, and I just pull them right off, and then I put a little bit of powder on the stickiness so that it's not sticky anymore. It's an M9. So there's like one that's an M8. Let's see if I have one in here. I think I do. So I'll show you how I cut that. The M9 will work pretty much the same. I think it's the same width. Let me see. No, it's a little bit shorter. So, with the M8. Now, you can always cut them to fit. You really only need 2 sides of the bag. It doesn't have to be the same bag. It could be 2 different bags. Do I not have any more M8s? Might have used my last one. M2. They're all M2s. Go figure. I think I used my last one. This one? Wait, what's this one? Nope, I did. I used my last one. Well, how about that? All right. Well, like I said, it's not a huge deal. If you're doing one that's more than one signature, though, I would at least go with something bigger than the M2. It's a little too small. It'll get you one signature easy, but not two. Because what I like to have is 6 inches at least, and then a spine of 2 inches, and then 6 inches. So it needs to be like, what is that, 15 inches? Me and math. Trying to find a ruler I can actually read. Oh, this one is 14 3/4. So 14 3/4 will work. So this one, let's see what this M9 is. See, this M9 is only 13 3/4, so it's an inch shorter, which means you couldn't quite get a 2-inch spine out of it. You could get like a 1 1.5 inch spine, and then there's always a little bit of room I have for lace and stuff here, so there is extra room here, so you could take off a little bit on the edges and still get away with it with that size bag. But I do like this size bag because it just gives me the size I'm looking for. It gives me the extra room for lace. It gives me plenty of room for a 2-inch spine. They can have this padding stuff in them or not. It works either way. Some do, some don't. I get them both ways. Sometimes that padding stuff can be a pain when you're sewing in the signature in the middle. So recently I've been opening them up and pulling out all that padding and then gluing this middle flat. So my middle right here doesn't have any of that padding, and I've glued it because it's a lot easier to go through all these layers if that's not got double layers and that foam in there. It just seems to be causing me issues. But other than that, it works fine. So I just cut the bag. It normally looks like, how does it look? Normally looks like that. And it's taller, okay? Technically it's wider, okay? It's almost double. You could almost get 2 out of 1. It's a tiny, tiny bit shorter, like a 1/2 inch. So if you made this a little bit shorter, you could get away with it, which you can do because this is 9 inches and paper is 8.5. So you can get away with it. It just puts it really, really close to the edge of the journal, which isn't a huge deal. I've done it. It will work, but you might just find it's, a little closer than you like, and it causes issues sometimes with putting the charm on there. Because I like to have that little extra room so that I can put my charm on there without the signature pages being that high. So that's why I like it to be a little longer. I think this one's 9. Let's see. Is this one 9? Is that right? So I prefer it to be 9. I just think it works best. So, but anyway, so I get the bag, I cut it, I separate it in half, and I split the 2 pieces apart. I didn't used to do that, but I find it's much easier to sew if you just take it all apart. Especially if you're doing a pocket. If you're not doing a pocket, don't worry about it. Just keep it together. Because these are connected on the edges here. Like, let me show you one with this M9. Do I have an M9? I did. They are connected. I did some cutting on this one. I must have been going to make something out of it. But they're connected like this with glue. And I just take my palette knife, which I've hidden because I moved my can. Moved my can so it wouldn't be in my way when I was sewing. I use a palette knife, and I just go in and I just run it through like this. And usually the 2 pieces will separate perfectly. Rarely do I have it tear like that. Usually they just come right apart. And if they do tear, you could reinforce them with something, but typically I can get them apart. And that's how I separate the bag. That one's all tore up. It was one of my first ones. When I first started doing these out of these packages, I didn't know to use the blow dryer to take the labels off, and I was just trying to peel them off really, really slow. That does not work. It almost always rips these because they're super thin. This material is very thin, and it rips them. But if you take a blow dryer to it, I mean, just for 15 seconds, it really doesn't take that long. It'll just peel right off. Super easy. It is sticky though, so like I said, I just use some powder. Any kind of powder will work, but I've been using this makeup powder, but just to kick the stickiness off. And it's mostly just so the bag doesn't stick together while I'm not using it, because afterwards it doesn't matter if it's sticky, you're going to stick stuff to it anyway. But so then once I've done that, I figure out where I'm going to put my pocket. You have the option of putting pockets at the top. You have option of putting pocket at the side, or not doing a pocket. I really think I prefer the side pocket. It seems to be my favorite. Once I've decided that, I make sure that everything's cut out. It's to the right measurements. Like I said, this is 15. This should be 9. Keep turning the ruler the wrong way. So that's 9. And so it's basically giving me 6, 2, and 6. Okay? Which gives me about a 2-inch spine like that. All right. Then what I do is I turn the bag inside out, just because if your fabric is thin, say you're using a white fabric with print on it, this stuff will show through. If you're using a darker fabric like I am today, it really doesn't matter because that's not going to show through. But I just kind of got in the habit of turning it inside out because it doesn't really matter other than that. And then I start marking everything. So the first thing I like to mark is my centers, so that I know where the center is. And then ideally you should mark where your spine is going to be. So the center is, it's a 2-inch spine, so you can just put it on the 1 there. And then you got your 2-inch spine. Okay. And I like to know. It doesn't really affect too much at this point, other than maybe knowing where your cover is going to be. But other than that, it's fine. It doesn't, and maybe gluing the inside, I guess, so you know where to stop. If my foam stuff is too close to the edge and I feel like it's too messy, and it's going to get in my way, what I like to do is just take and rub it off. It rubs off really easy. You can do it with your fingers, or you can do it with your palette knife. But just rub it off and just kind of get it out of there. And then you can glue that. If you're not, go ahead and glue that top closed if you want. You don't have to, because you're going to sew it anyway. But you can glue it closed. But I just don't like all this mess coming out, because sometimes when it's really close to the edge, it just keeps coming out and getting in your way when you're sewing and stuff. And I don't really want that. So just get that stuff out of there, because it's kind of messy in the way. So, and then you can just glue this edge if you want. Like I said, I did open mine up and take all of it out in the middle. And I just used the palette knife to do that. I didn't even open the whole thing. I'm trying to find my glue. Oh, there it is. I didn't even open the whole thing up. I just opened that one little line there and just stuck my knife in there and just wiggled it until it all came out. Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary, guys. It's just, it's easier for me to deal with sewing the signatures in later, I think. So this part gets glued shut. It's just for the thickness. I like the double thickness. You could use a single thickness if you don't have that padding stuff. You could use a single thickness. It's fine. It'll work. But I like it kind of crunchy. I just think it adds to it. But I'm just going to glue this together just so it's not bugging me. Like I said, it's not absolutely necessary. We're going to sew it, but we're going to do it anyway. So just a little bit of glue there just so it's kind of closed up. Okay, so then I start marking everything where things are. So I would say Definitely mark stuff, guys, because if you don't, you're going to get so confused. And it just makes life a whole lot easier. Get yourself a chalk pencil. You can get these little chalk pencils at your craft stores. You can get them online. They're the General's pastel chalk pencils. Usually they come in like either 2 white or 1 white, or 1 white and 1 black. But you can also get a whole set if you want colored ones, because I do sometimes use all the different colors, but they come in sets too. But you don't need a whole set. Just buy a white one. Honestly, I probably use the white one more than anything, and sometimes I use the black one. So here's what you got to think about. Okay, this is our journal base, and we're going to have inside it, we're going to have a pocket. These 2 pieces become the pocket. It's going to be here. This piece gets closed. It's not really going to be anything. And we've got our spine. And inside we want our ribbon for closing. Unless you're doing an eyelet closure. If you're doing an eyelet closure, you're going to want your pocket at the top. Maybe just the top left, because the eyelet will get in the way of a closure. You definitely can't do the side pocket, but you could do a top pocket. And I have videos where I've done that. I don't know which ones they are. I'd have to look it up and figure it out, but I can tell you if you need to know. Lost my train of thought, sorry. Ribbon. Figure out what ribbon you want. I tend to like softer ribbons because they tie better. This one's like a silky ribbon I had in my stash. Don't know where I got it from. It was probably in one of those sets, multi-sets is my guess. The ribbon is going to go here in the center. So you want to find your center. You can do that a couple ways. You can just, if you want, you can just take your bag, fold it, pinch the edge right there, and mark your center. Okay? That's the easiest way. Or you can measure it. It doesn't really matter. It's just for your ribbon placement. So, you know, take the easy way out, guys. When you can, take the easy way out. So that's where the ribbon's going to go, straight across there. And it's going to be sandwiched in between the 2. I do that because I think it strengthens it, and it's just, I don't know. I like it that way. Do you have to do the whole length? I don't know. I'm trying to find my other ruler. I don't think this one's at it. Did I bury it? I buried it. Oh, there it is. I see it. So this is where my ribbon's going to go. So I like to just mark it so I know. You could use a pencil, honestly, because this is mostly going to be covered up. But I think the white shows up good on these brown bags. And then I write ribbon. It's already written on here, but I'll write it again. Okay. And then it says inside right back pocket. And that tells me what this piece is. So it's the inside, because it's where the pocket's going to go. And I just put right back, RB. BR, it doesn't really matter. All right, so that's that piece. This is going to go here. I'm not going to do it right this second. You want to know where the center of your ribbon is, so you can mark that now if you want. Just find your center. It's not going to show or anything, so just go ahead and mark it. I'm just going to throw this chalk pencil on there. It may or may not stay, but okay, so there's that. This is the top. So this says inside cover, and then it's got a little arrow pointing to the pocket for here. So I've got a little arrow telling me this is where my pocket's going to be, so I don't forget and get them turned around. And it says inside right, and it says cover, which tells me is the inside cover and not the outside cover. Okay, and this says inside cover left, and then I've got an arrow pointing up. Just kind of helps me to stay organized. And then the front piece, which is our cover, says front cover right. Okay, and then back cover. All this will be covered up, but you need it before you cover it up. So, and then just arrows reminding me the direction that that's going. So that's all the writing I think I need to do. I could go ahead and mark that, but I don't think I need to. I'm going to cover it up anyway, and I only want it just for right now, knowing this distance. And it's just, it doesn't have to be exact distance. So as long as I kind of know where to stop my glue and all that, it's fine. So then I cut my material to be just slightly larger. And I actually don't cut it, I tear it. So I'll show you how big with this one. This is a pocket. This is my inside cover. So it goes on this piece. The pocket will go here. Okay. And then front cover will go here like this. Okay. So that's how it all pieces together. So you get a feel of it. Okay. You do need to decide what part you want to show on your front cover before you cut your fabric. Okay, so if your fabric has a pattern of some sort or designs, look at it and see what do you want to show on this section. Okay, keep in mind your spine. I wanted these pine cones to be kind of in the center. I may end up covering them up. I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. But that's where I decided I wanted it. Because if it was this way, it would be like that. And I didn't like that look as much as this look. Mostly because these others kind of framed it. And so that's kind of what I was thinking when I cut it out. So for size, your fabric is like 1/4 of an inch bigger. Okay, you want it just big enough. Now, these things never, ever are square. I don't know why. I try to cut them square. I use my grid. I use everything else, but the fabric rarely tears square. It should. It's got a grain. It should tear square, but it doesn't. So it's a little off when you look at it. And I try to lay the bag on the center. I've got some spots that are just giving me a little more than other spots. I can't quite get it even all the way around, but just try to get it close to where you have a little bit of overhang, because what you want to do is when you sew it, you want to catch a little bit of this bag, and then you want to leave a little bit of this for fraying. And I don't glue it or anything at this point. It's going to keep fraying until I sew it down. If it's really fraying like crazy, go ahead and glue the edge maybe a little bit, just in so far that, say I wanted it to fray, 1/8 of an inch, I'd put some glue in, like 1/4 of an inch in, just so it wouldn't fray past that point. But usually it's not a big deal. So that's how I decide the size. And then I just tear them out. All the pieces, I tear them out of my main fabric. So I get my main fabric. And do I have a scrap? Let me see if I have a scrap. But anyway, I get my main fabric. I lay it out. Figure out how big it's going to be. Mark it with a chalk pencil. Make a little snip in it. I'll show you on a scrap because I'm not going to tear this again. Okay, this has got the salvage, but I think I can tear it. Just mark it with your chalk pencil. Do a little snip, like 1/2 inch or so, and just tear it all the way down. Okay, it should tear right on the grain of the fabric. Okay, and that will make it fray, that nice perfect fray that we like. Okay, if you cut it, you're not going to cut it on the grain, and it will never fray like that. You won't be able to get it to fray like that. You can get it to fray, but it won't be an even fray. It'll be a weird fray. I don't know, that stops and starts, and you have to fight with to get the little strings out. And so tear it if you can. Sometimes it's tricky, but you usually can. So I tear it to size, all the little pieces. trying to keep them as square as I can. Use a grid if you have one. I cut it out only if absolutely necessary. You know, if I can't get it to tear for whatever reason, then I'll cut it, but usually I can tear it. So you got your pieces, you got your bag, and that's where we start putting everything together. So I just do a pocket. You don't have to do a pocket here. You can do a pocket later with scrapbook paper or, I don't know, muslin or burlap or whatever you want. But I do like to sew them in if I can, because I just think they look a little bit better. So I picked this fabric that was the same but not. It was coordinating, and decided I'd make a pocket out of that. So, and this one happens to have the salvage edge on the top of my pocket, because that's handy in the fact that I know that edge isn't going to fray. It's going to stay together, and it's already got this perfect fray right there on there. So it makes a good, you know, pocket. And usually there's a spot in the fabric you can find that. If you can't, then just fray it yourself and throw some glue on there. Or don't fray it. You can sew it over too. If you want it to be flat and sewed over, you can do that too, but I like it frayed. Okay, let's see. So lately, I haven't always done this. Lately, I've been putting this fleece batting on here. I like it. It gives a little extra cushiness, and it's completely ironed onto it so that if I try to glue it, gluing fleece is a pain. You have to get the glue onto the fabric, because it's trying to put glue on this or any other type of fleece is just, it's sticky, it sticks to your glue cap, and it's a pain. So the iron-on is definitely the way to go. And it's nice and adhered, so when I go to sew it, I don't have to worry about having gaps in there that aren't glued properly and cause gaps, you know, where you can't get the needle to line up. So that's why I really like doing it this way. So the cover is the only piece I did that on. Could I do it on the inside one too? I guess I could, but it's not necessary. It really isn't. So I wouldn't waste time doing that. And I just cut it out a little bit smaller so that I've got that edge where the cardboard, not cardboard, but packaging is going to come up there. Because that way when I sew it, I'll catch this, and that batting will be hidden, and all I'll have left is that fray. So basically cut your batting the same size as this, and it should work out fine. So that's what I did. I ironed it on. The instructions say, don't listen to the instructions, guys. I don't know where they get these instructions from. So this is this Pellon fusible fleece, which works nice, but the instructions lie. The instructions say to fuse, press firmly in place up for approximately 10 seconds. Yeah, no. It takes me a minimum of like 30 to 45 seconds to get it to adhere. And make sure that when you are trying to get it to adhere, you're ironing on this side and not this side, because it has too hard of a time going through the fleece to get to the glue that's on this side. Okay, so if it's not sticking, and I cover it with either parchment paper or just a piece of muslin that I have, it's actually cotton. It's like a cotton piece of fabric that I have. So that's what I do. Make sure you check it's cool before you try to pull it apart and see if it's glued, because if it's hot, it will just pull apart. But it works good. It seems to be working good anyway. So there's that. So now we got our bag. Let's see if we can figure out where everything is, because I lost it. Inside, left pocket, inside cover, ribbon, inside pocket, back cover, left, front cover. Okay. So at this point, we're going to put a pocket here. I talk too much. It's already 9:30 and all I've been doing is explaining it to y'all. Oh my goodness. And I'm hot already. I should turn the fan on. All right. So we're going to put a pocket here. So we have to put this side together for the pocket, and that means sewing on our fabric for the pocket. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this onto here first, maybe. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I do think it works better. I think I will. All right, so we're going to sew. Okay, I'll not explain it again. Inside cover. What you want to do is you want to sew this to this edge, because you're not going to be able to sew it when you sew around, because if you try to sew it when you sew it around, it's already together and it doesn't work. So you have to sew your pocket edge first, only the pocket edge. So grab your clips or whatever you need and line up everything. You can sew this piece first separately, or you can try to do it all at once. I don't know. I might just try to do it all at once. I can't remember what I did last time. I always forget. But we're going to attach this so that we can get just this piece. This is our inside cover right, inside cover pocket. It's going the right direction. I'm going to attach this. I'm going to try to turn it over, which is another reason you might want to sew it on first, but we'll try it this way. So we're going to get it centered. Try to get it centered as best I can. Like I said, it's not square. I don't know why, but it's not. So I'm going to try my best. Get it where I want it. I think about there should work. And I know it's not the same, but that's just the way it is. Is that going to stay together for me? So we're going to sew this piece. I think. If I'm on the right side, I'll have to flip it over and see, because I might be on the wrong side. I'm just going to clip it for now so I can turn it over and see. I don't want it to move. I want it to be where I want it to be, so I can sew it. You can glue it lightly too before you sew it. That'll help hold it in place, but I'm going to clip it first, and then I'll just remove the clips. Because it's not so square, I really want to see. These clips aren't quite long enough. I really want to see where it's heading on this bag. Yeah, I might sew that one piece first. Or at the very least, I guess I could glue it. I'll just glue it. So I'm going to glue this piece to this piece just so it doesn't move around on me. Just real lightly with some art glitter. I'm not even going to use Fabri-Tac. I'm just going to throw some art glitter on here. And it's basically just going to tack it. So I'm just going to tack that. Because otherwise I'm just going to fight with it. And I don't really want to sew it separate because it's too much sewing already. Too much sewing for me. That's it laid nicely. I'm not worried about it having a lot of glue, just enough to hold it in place until we're done. All right, if it's buckling on this. Okay. Am I on the right side? I can't tell. All right, let me turn it again so I can think about this. This is the inside right, so that's where I want to sew. Yeah, this side gets glued, but this side gets sewed. And my pocket is there and here. We need our ribbon too. I'll go ahead and put the ribbon. Should I do it now? What do you think? I don't know. Yes, no, yes. Yes, we need the ribbon first. Too much to think about today. My brain is scatterbrained. I've had a crazy week. All right, so ribbon goes there, inside pocket there. That looks good. This is getting sewed. This edge, which I'll clip it in a second. I just don't want to forget which edge it is. So I'm going to clip this one closed just for now, just so I don't forget. Okay, so separate from that, this piece gets the ribbon, which we'll just go ahead and put it on there. It really doesn't matter when you put it on there, as long as you get it on there. I'm going to mark the middle. Just going to pinch it. So I have a middle mark on there, and I'll line it up to my grid and finish it off if I can get the line straight. I already had a mark there. Seriously. Cooperate. Can't think, guys. I'm doing so good today. Seriously. Our microwave died. Our oven died. We had repair people come fix it. We ordered a new microwave. I don't know if somebody was knocking on my door or what. It's hard to bang. That mark is just for my center. I had somebody come look at it today to fix it. You would never believe what happened. So the outlet was fried. It fried our outlet. I don't know why it fried the outlet, but it definitely did. So I'm putting this ribbon in here because, let me just explain this because I'm not explaining. When it's like this and we've got our pocket here, you want this ribbon to be on the outside. You do not want it to be on the inside. Okay, otherwise it doesn't work. So make sure it's on the back page. I'm not putting a ton of glue because this is going to be all glued in anyway. I will match up these and make sure they match first. So by that I mean just stick them together, and that's pretty good. Okay. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be super glued down there, but just enough to stay in place. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay, so that is my inside, technically the inside pocket. We need fabric or paper there. Did I put the, gosh guys, I'm forgetting too much stuff. Did I put my paper before I sewed the edge? I think I did. Now I gotta look at my old journal and see, because I'm forgetting stuff. Let me look at it. Let me see. I think I sew it normally. Do I? I do. I do sew it. All right, so we need our paper cut. I didn't even cut paper. I didn't even pick out paper. Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to have to step back a second. That's okay. So we got to put some paper here for our liner. You don't have to, but I like it. It could be fabric, but I like using the paper, scrapbook paper. So I'm just making sure that everything's where it needs to be. So we're going to sew here, and we're going to sew here with that fabric on there, and the paper's on here. So I'm debating on gluing that. Just a little. I'm trying to think. I'm going to glue this whole thing in a minute after I sew it. So I'm just going to really lightly tack this edge. Just a teeny bit. Because that's the edge I want to sew. Set that aside. All right, let's put our cover on. So remember, that's our inside. This is our front. So you want to make sure you've got your front piece where you want it. I want this part in the middle here, so it goes on that side. It comes around. So line it up to the center, which which, like I said, should be even with my batting there. Now, will it match my other piece? I don't know. If it doesn't, I'll just fray it more and we'll deal with it. But I want it to match that batting so the batting doesn't show. So about there. And then I can tack it, not tack it. Did I glue that shut? I didn't. I'm going to glue it because it's going to bug me. I cut this edge so it's loose. Normally it's not loose like that. And that's not the pocket. Don't get confused. It's not the pocket. I'm just going to tack this just a teeny bit. That's the part we're going to sew in just a second. All right, so we'll put these clips on here, but I'll probably have to move them to put my paper. But I just want it to stay where, since I already have it lined up. Hopefully. I'm kind of scattered today, guys. I apologize. Like I said, I'm really stressed. I had a stressful week. So yeah, it burnt the outlet. And they came to fix it. They were going to fix it because none of the lighters were igniting. The clickers weren't igniting. And so they came to fix it and pulled it out from the wall. And it's just melted. And I'm just like, okay, that's scary. So our outlet melted. We don't know why. I mean, I don't know what did it. Something did it. So yeah, so they were like, well, we can fix it. We can replace the outlet if you want, or you can do it yourself. As Dave used to work for a handyman company, so he knows how to do basic electrical. So we were just like, no, we'll just have Dave do it, because they were going to charge $250 to replace just the outlet in the wall. And I was like, no, Dave can do it. Dave did it. So Dave fixed the outlet, plugged it back in, and the oven's working fine. The microwave, however, is still toast. But the microwave was like 8 years old, so we replaced the microwave. Well, we ordered a new microwave, which is supposed to be delivered tomorrow. So we've had like no cooking items for the last 2 days. And it was going to be worse. If I didn't get it done super fast, it was going to take till after Thanksgiving. I was like, oh gosh, I cannot go out to eat for Thanksgiving. I am not an eat out person. Yeah, it's been crazy running around trying to get everything done. So here's what we got. So we've got these two pieces. We've got a ribbon in there. This is our pocket area. Inside cover, outside cover. And this is the only part we're sewing right now. Just this edge so that it attaches this piece and this piece. We don't want to sew anything else yet. Okay? But we got to put paper there. So let's find paper. I'm just going to set it aside. We'll find paper that matches and looks pretty. I'm sure I have some somewhere. Let's see. How about... Sorry, kitty. I know you're sleeping. You were sleeping. You're not sleeping now. Let's see what we got. No. It doesn't have to be heavy cardstock, although it does honestly sew better, but I don't want to use these pretty ones, I don't think. I'm going to use that for a writing card. That one's just kind of plain. That would work good, wouldn't it? It's plain on both sides. I should do that. I think I'll do that. And then I've got like things like this. Let's look at the cover and see what looks best. It doesn't really matter, but because you only see it a little bit when you peek in there. But I think this would be... Oh, that red's kind of boring, isn't it? It's very pinkish. I'm not crazy about that red. What's on the other side? Green. Do we have enough to do both? I like the green. So I like the green. This plaid isn't horrible. Do I have enough? Maybe that might be enough to do both. I have a feeling an 8.5 by 11 will do both sides of the pocket, if I remember correctly. So I could use that, or I could use this, because that should give me an 8.5 by 11. It's a 12 by 12. So one of those think of the things I have. I have this piece. What is this? It's kind of thin. It's not bad either. I kind of like the trees. They are more, yeah, I know. I could have had a fire. That's what I was thinking, Lori, the whole time. I'm freaking out. You guys are spinning. I'm going to reload it. I know. I was really freaking out when I saw that, and it was melted. Okay, load. Sorry, I'm fighting with my phone. Get this thing to load so I can see y'all. Okay, it's still showing me do glue an hour back. What? Stop that. Catch up. Catch up. All right, hopefully y'all are there. I think I might go with this plaid. It's not bad. It's pretty close. It's a little contrasty, which is good. I think this is just too big. Let's go with the plaid. All right, let's see where I can stick these. Oh my goodness, they're heavy. Sorry, kitty. I know, I keep disturbing you. All right, so we need 2 pieces. And they are going to glue here and on the other side. And I'm pretty sure I just need to cut it in half. So hopefully when the microwave comes tomorrow, that will go well and there won't be any issues. We assume that it was only, there's 2 outlets, one separate to the microwave, so we're hoping that the, that's not part of the issue. 5 and 5, 5.5. It's 10, 11, yeah, 5.5. See how this fits. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to glue this in place. I do want to come up as close to the edge as I can get so that you don't see too much of the cardboard, but I will stay in just a fraction. So let's move this out of my way. This out of my way. And we're going to glue this. And I'll probably just use art glitter. I will use my big nozzle art glitter though, so it goes on thicker because it dries too fast if I use the little one. By the time I get to the end of this big old piece, it'll be dry. So I'm going to use this one. Although it feels plugged. Why does it feel plugged? Better. Let's see if we can do this without making a mess. And this is our pocket cover, basically. Just so it looks pretty. Pocket liner, I guess you could call it. Do you want glue on the edge? And we're going to line that up. So just kind of center it and get close to the edge. I'm staying maybe a 16th in. It doesn't really matter if it comes all the way to the edge. It's not a huge deal. It's just a liner. So there's the one side. And then the other side is on the back of this side. Okay, now if it was directional, you want to keep in mind your arrow. This is not directional, so it doesn't matter. So we're just going to flip it over. And it says inside pocket, so I know. I can get this one out of the way. And we're just going to scooch this out of the way. Scooch that out of the way. Glue this. Oops, I didn't get far enough. This is going to glue here. nice when it's not directional. You really, because it just takes that stress of worrying about, do you have the right direction? But that's why the arrows, because if you have the arrows on there, then you can look at it and see which direction was up. Let's try to make sure I get that one edge good. And line that up. Just about a 16th. All right, so there's our 2 pocket liners. Okay, that wasn't too bad. All right, where's the lid to this guy? I lost it. Oh, there it is. Oh, and I see my other lid's out too, which means I'm drying out my glue. Not good. Don't dry your glue out. Clean it off. Okay. Now that we've got our pockets done, we gotta line up and figure out which is which. This is the back, which is technically underneath. This is the top. And I'm just double checking to make sure everything is right. That's the front cover and the back cover, and the ribbons on the right side, ribbons in the back where it's supposed to be. Okay, so now we gotta sew here and here. So we gotta get the sewing machine out. And I might clip those a little bit better, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the sewing machine out if I can find a place to put it. Ooh, normally I think I take this piece of wood off. Let's see. Too many things in my way. That's why sewing's a challenge, because I got a lot of stuff that I have to move. I'm gonna leave that phone there. This is gonna be in my way. I'm trying to move my phone. I really should mark this so I know where it goes, because otherwise I'll forget. I'll just throw some tape on there. My old mat had all the marks and stuff, but I haven't marked this one because I didn't want to mark it up, honestly. Because it's new and pretty and all that. You know? This is basically my holder. It holds my iPad in place, but it's in my way when I sew. So I gotta pull it off. Okay, sewing machine. Sorry, I know it's complicated and a lot of moving. All right. Too many things to work around. Oh, I gotta take my mic off. Do not let me forget to put it on. I won't be able to hear y'all. You won't be able to hear me. Plugged in. Mic. And power. Okay. There we go. So, you won't be able to see me sew exactly, but this is the best I can do. So, we're just going to deal with it. It is what it is. All right, let's find our edges again. Make sure I know where I'm sewing. All right. It's pretty easy once you have the cardboard on there, because you know you're sewing where the scrapbook paper is. In a nutshell, that's pretty much it. So I am gonna try to secure it. It's pretty much glued, honestly. It probably won't move. I think I'll be okay. I'm just gonna spread these out a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna move because we did tack it. So you can decide which side you want your good thread on, because you know how when you're sewing there's one side that's better than the other. I prefer this side. The only catch to that is I can't see the cardboard. I keep calling it cardboard. It's packaging. I can't see the packaging when I'm sewing on this side, I can kind of feel it, and I know that it's about a 1/16 of an inch in, but I do want to make sure that I grab it just a little bit. So I could either turn it around this way and just deal with having the not so nice sewing on that side, or I could sew on this side and hope I catch it. We're going to sew on this side and hope I catch it, which is So you just want to sew just to catch that edge, just to put it on there. So I'm trying to catch the cardboard, but not come out to where it, it's fraying. So like oh no, it should be about 1/4 of an inch in. I think I can do it. I think it's about 1/4 of an inch for the most part. If I don't catch the cardboard, I could do another run. But ideally, I would prefer to catch it on the first try. All right, we're going to go for it and hope I am catching it. I wish I could mark it, but I don't know if I can mark it with my chalk pencil. I can mark it a little bit. I don't want to have to erase it. It'll erase fairly easy, but we're going to mark it a little bit just so I can kind of see and stay where that edge is. I can feel it, kind of. All right, we'll try that. Let's go for it. So I'm just going to sew and back stitch just to lock it. I'm just using a normal straight stitch. And just double check and see if that's hitting. Looks like it. Okay. And watch your pocket when you get up to that it lays flat. Hopefully I'm catching the whole thing. It feels like I might have missed it. Let's see. We'll find out in a second. Did I catch it? Nope, I missed it. Right there. Darn it. Darn. All right, we're going to do it again. It's my own fault. Look, I'm not 1/4 of an inch in. I started out 1/4 of an inch, and I got crooked. I could zigzag it, but you know what? My sewing machine hates zigzagging. It's not the best sewing machine. Right, I'm going to concentrate more. If 2 looks ugly, I'll just pull one out. But I think it's fine. All right, let's see if I got it that time. Which is worse, having to do it twice or having the bad sewing edge? I don't know. All right, I got it. Stitches don't look great. Why don't my stitches look great? They look kind of bad. Huh. Not the best stitches. I'm on the bigger one. Let me turn up this tension a little bit. Try the other side. All right, so this one's done. We'll go to the other pocket. Now this is the back pocket technically. So this is the back of the journal, but I'd still like the stitching, I think, to be on that side. So I'm going to try and mark it, because this one's definitely not straight. So I am going to try and see if I can feel and mark it just a little bit with my chalk pencil. Like I said, I should be able just to rub this chalk pencil out. Can't see it through some of these colors, but it shows good on the back. I'll just rub it out. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely closer on the top than it is on the bottom. Okay, here we go. There is nothing. Let's see if we can keep it in there. Make sure your ribbon is over so you don't sew it crooked. Now, I do like to, when I get to my ribbon, go back and forth a couple of times, like twice. So just back it up. Just kind of locks it in there a little bit better. Where are we at? All right, that should be good. Let's see if I caught it. I'm still really close. Why am I so far off? All right, I guess I'll do 2 like the other side, since I missed it again. That's the only issue I find with this way of doing it, is I don't know. It's probably just me. I'm not the best sewer in the world. But I always miss it. Oh, knocking things off. Come here. Just going about an 1/8 of an inch further. We did better. Oops, missed one. Did we get it that time? Kind of, but the stitches are still, they're just not great. I feel like my tension is all messed up. I did change my bobbin. I probably got it messed up. I cleaned it out. I don't have any oil though, but I did clean it out. Am I missing anything? No, that's where it's supposed to be. That's right, that's right. Everything's right. I don't know. Sewing machine's not great. It's gonna have to do. Okay. It's at least sealed. So we've got our pocket. Now we can glue. So let's move this out of the way. Kinda, sorta. And we're gonna glue the rest of this fabric down. So I'm going to do half at a time. This sewing should hold it in place where it's supposed to be. So here's what we're going to do. We want to glue this to this, but, all to this, so that it's all glued down. So I'm going to put the glue on here because it's easier. And I'm only just going to do a section at a time. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and a spreader, if I can find it. Here, what can we use? What could you use? Should I use this one? Just some sort of a spreader. Sometimes I use this one. I think I'll try to use this one. Fabri-Tac, where are you hiding? There you are. All right, Fabri-Tac. So we're gluing our cover, front and back, to our packaging. I'm not going to get super close to the edge because I am going to sew, but I do like it glued to, especially right in the middle. The glue everywhere else isn't as big of a deal. It could be loose and it's not going to really hinder anything. But the glue in the middle really needs to be solid, or when you're trying to sew your signature in, it's a pain and you'll have issues. So I'm going to go down just about halfway, I think. And like I said, this part isn't as big of a deal, so we're going to put a ton. Spread it out some and tack it down. You can keep 2 of those if you have to. I have lots of them. This one doesn't have glue. This one has glue, not that I can tell, but, well, it technically says Fabri-Tac on it, but sometimes it's hard to tell. So, but like I said, I've got my spine marked on the inside, but I kind of know where it is. I'm trying to get this ribbon out of the way. Definitely don't want to glue my ribbon in there. So my spine is, let's see if I can mark it, kind of, sort of. I think I know about where it is. Is that the center mark? That's the center mark. So it's approximately here. So I just want to make sure that in this section I have a decent amount of glue. The rest, like I said, isn't a big deal. I think I'm running low on Fabri-Tac. So I'm going to go just a little bit there, but here I'm going to try and get a decent coverage. Not on the edges though, where I'm going to sew. But I do want to make sure that this little piece, you can see I've still got some gaps in there, so try to get it non-gappy if I can get it to come out. Oh my goodness, come on Fabri-Tac. I really need to get me a new bottle. I'm going to put a decent amount here. I'm staying away from the edge because this stuff is a pain if it gets on your needle. And my sewing stitching does not start until a good inch in when I am sewing it, when I sew the signature in. It's usually about an inch in. Okay. Front cover, yep. Make sure it looks right. We should be able to finish this up. All the way, not quite to the edge. I'm just leaving a good ½ inch. So not a huge deal. Get one with glue on it. One without the glue. Make sure I test it. All right, so there's that piece. Make sure I've still got my border. I do. Everything looks good. Set that aside. Let's get the other piece. And pull off our little clips. Yeah, I missed it so bad. So bad. I hate that. I may just see, this side is so ugly though. I really don't want that on the outside. So I'll deal with missing it. All right, let's turn it this way. Make sure everything lines up, looks good. Got a little more room there. I wonder if I can scooch it that way a little bit. Yeah, I think so. So I'll try to keep it scooched. I don't know, let me see. I'm trying to see if it's stretching. I don't know, maybe I got off just slightly. Oops, wrong way. We want to go this way because we want on the packaging. I don't like to glue on the fabric itself because it you know, it'll leave a glue mark. Even on the darker fabrics it can leave a glue mark, so don't glue on your fabric itself if you can avoid it. And that's why I spread it, because it helps it not to come through the fabric. Flip this and make sure I'm staying in line because I have this pocket to deal with. Oops. Is it okay? It's close. It's kind of stretching funny. Just double check it a couple times. Yeah, it's trying to go too far left. I think I must have been off on this angle just a little bit, so hopefully it'll be all right. I think I have enough room, but I've definitely got a huger gap there, which I hate when that happens. All right, so this is going to be the center of my signature, so we've got good amount of glue here. If I can get the glue to come out. All right, about 1/2 inch in. Okay, I'm gonna glue. Make sure it's over a little bit more. It's about to here. All right, let's see if we can get that on. I'm mostly worried about this middle. That looks good. Okay, lay that down. It's definitely wanting to shift. Okay, as long as I still can see some fraying, I'm okay. All right, I think it's all right. Should have probably glued this pocket in the middle. Sometimes I glue it in the middle because it does help with sewing. Because when it's loose in the middle, sometimes can be a problem. So I am going to throw a little bit of glue in there. If I can find the center. Which side's it on? Okay, so yeah, about here. Now this is going to be trickier because it is fabric on fabric, but as long as I can get it down some, I'm going to try. Hopefully I'm staying in the right spot so I don't close my pocket up where I don't want to close my pocket up. Yeah, that feels okay. I'm just gluing it a little. It'll help some when sewing. See if I can finish this whole thing. I really got to buy more Fabri-Tac, guys. I think this is my last bottle. It is getting low. I usually order it off of Amazon because hardly any of the stores I have seem to carry it. They have the Fabri-Fix, but not the Fabri-Tac. It's okay. We're good. That should be all right. So I got a lot less here than I have here. And it's a squareness thing. This angle is probably a little off. I don't know why, because it's not that much. Look, this is pretty much even. So something's not square. It's probably the fabric. Definitely not quite square. Yeah, I got any glue on there. I think I have some here. Get a little bit of that there. Okay. That should be good enough. So let's see. This is our inside top. This is our inside back. Okay, so we got a ribbon on the back, top piece with our two pockets, and then our front piece. So now we want to sew it together, but not this side. That's why we sew this first, because you don't want to close your pocket up. Okay, so we just want to sew everything else. So we got to line it up, ideally as perfect as we can, and we'll see how well that goes, because you know nothing ever lines up perfect when it comes to these things. Let's see if I go that way. where I got a lot? No, I don't have a ton there. I have a little more. Which part has a lot? This part. I think about there is pretty close. The packaging seems to be matching pretty well, so we're going to go with that. So I'm going to clip the side I do not want to sew at all completely across, because then I am much less likely to accidentally sew it. But I will probably also write myself a note. Just don't sew your pocket closed, because you'll be sad and you'll have to take all the stuff out and do it again. And it's never going to line up perfectly. And I knew it wasn't squaring off like I wanted it to. The packaging isn't too bad. It's squaring off, but that fabric is definitely not squaring off. But the packaging's pretty close. So we're just going to go by the packaging because I trust it a little bit more. And I can always just fray those edges or trim them if they don't match up. And when you sew this side, you do need to make sure that you don't get your ribbon in the wrong spot. Now I will go back and forth there just a little bit too. Let's see if I can get that piece of fray out. Yeah, I've got so much extra on that one edge. I feel like that happened last time too. I don't know why. It keeps happening. Prints on Crate Street or something. I don't know. I don't quilt, so maybe there's a trick to it, but I don't know what that trick is. All right, so there. So here's what we got to do. We got to sew all the way around. And I want the good thread to be on the outside of my cover, so I'm going to sew from this side. And I want to try to catch my cardboard. Now on this one piece, that's going to be a little tricky because it's so far out on the one side. I think I can do it. I'm going to mark it just a little. As this one, the fabric is way out there, but the cardboard's like right there. So you got to catch the cardboard. If you don't catch the packaging, if you don't catch it, it won't close. It'll be too flimsy. So try to make sure you're inside. I'm just going to mark it. I can always just rub this off. Let's see if I can stay inside. It didn't seem to help last time, did it? That's funny. I don't know why. Logically it should, but this is the side I want to sew. So this is pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty close. But we're going to go in a little bit further because I don't want it to look all weird. This side be super close. We're still going to go in like 1/4 inch. All right. So, do not sew there. So usually what I do, I've kind of learned enough that just putting the clips across helps because I put a ton. But usually I just put a little sticky note and say, stop here. Okay, so I'm going to start here, I'm going to come around, I'm going to stop here. That way I don't sew my pocket closed and everything is copacetic. What time is it? All right, we're okay. We're okay. Oh, I dropped my stickies. Oh well, I don't care. I'm going to get this glue off of here because it's going to, oh, it's already dry, but it might get on something. I'm just going to roll it off. It's the nice thing about Fabri-Tac, it does roll off very easily. Plastics. Okay, sewing time again. Let's see if we can stay where we were supposed to be. knocking stuff off. Too small of a desk. Okay. Y'all still with me? Got a few people on tonight. Not a lot. Okay. So I'm going to move some of these because they're in the way. Just stick them down here until I get to that spot. I've got my little marks to follow, and hopefully I can stay on them. Always make sure you backstitch a little bit so it locks it in. Oops, I lost my pedal. What's it doing way over there? Now, could you use a zigzag? Sure, you can. I don't because my sewing machine hates them. I'll do them every now and then, but honestly, it just almost always gives me a fit. It gives me a fit when I switch. When I switch from the zigzag back to a straight, and it almost always binds up on me. I don't know why. I hope I'm catching that cardboard. I'm trying to feel as I go. I'm also trying to watch for my fabric bunching weird. It seems okay so far. Keep it as taut as you can. And I'm hitting my thing. Not enough room. Let me pull this closer to me. You won't be able to see as well, but I need it closer. Okay. When I get to the edge, I'm going to put my needle down, lift my foot, spin it, drop my foot. Okay? And remember, you got your ribbon here, so just keep it where you know where it is. When I get to the ribbon, I'll double it up just a couple times. Is it absolutely necessary? Probably not. But it gives me a little, just, you know, a better sense. I am going to hope that my middle pocket is staying where it's supposed to be. I didn't. I'm going to hope that it stayed. I can't check it now, so I'm going to hope it stayed. Because this side wasn't tacked down, I don't think. I think it was just the other side. Right, needle down, turn. And I'm just going to look at that pocket real quick. Good. It stayed. All right, good. Whew. Scared me. Stitch and pull it out. Lost my little scissors, I think. Oh, they're there. It dropped on the floor at one point, but let's see if we stayed where we were supposed to stay. Looks good. I'm checking to see if the packaging is at least sewn in. You can glue it if it still shows and you don't like it showing. You can always glue that part, but I do want to make sure that it's sewn, like the needle caught it, and it did. Looks good all the way around, so we are good. Take off all this. And so now we have a ribbon is sewed in good. We've got our cover. Okay, and like I said, I've got this extra here. I'll probably just trim that off and refray it. So it's not going to fray perfectly because it's not going to be on the grain of the fabric, because for whatever reason it's not square. I don't know, something's not square. So I'm going to go and trim it anyway. So I just want to get this edge. You can see where it's just, for whatever reason, it was a whole lot off on that thickness or something. I don't know. I did something weird, but that's fine. We'll fix it. So this side's pretty good. I'm not terrible with that. I might trim it a little, or I might just leave it. It's not too far off, but this is way far off. So anywhere it's way far off, I'll go ahead and trim it. Now, whether I want to use scissors or my, I think I want to use my rotary cutter. Probably a little bit safer. So I'm just going to go wherever it stops there and gets back in line. At least close. I'm just going to take off that little extra. That's it. Not ideal, but it'll be all right. Get it all? Okay. So just enough to once I fray it, it kind of matches up. I might do it just a fraction more there. And then I'll work on fraying it later. Where else do I need to do it? I need to do it right here for sure. And I'm just double checking my ribbon every time I cut, guys. I always do that, because if you cut your ribbon, you'll have to take the whole thing apart or put an eyelet and close your pocket. There may be other types of closes you could do. I guess you could just put a ribbon around it, but it wouldn't be ideal. Did you come apart? No. This, I think I need a new blade. I think it is time for a new blade. There. So we're just evening it up. Like I said, I'll fray it in a second. This is a little off, but I don't know. I think once I glue it, that'll be fine. Because it kind of matches real well, because they're both red. So I'm not worried about that. On this side where the pocket is fine. That matches just fine. So I think that's enough. And like I said, if it bugs you that you can see all this, you can glue that, which it kind of bugs me, so I'll probably go ahead and glue it. I'm debating on if I want to fray it first. Like that. Oh, it's not bad. I was trying to fray if it's too far out, but it's not. So I'm going to fray this just a little bit more, just so they kind of blend in better. I'm just using a pointy tool, and then I'll probably glue it just a little bit. Like I said, this fray won't go the whole length because it's cut a little bit off grain, but it will still fray and look okay. Most people won't even notice it, honestly. We know when we're doing these things, you know, but most people don't even notice things like that. They just see a frayed edge and think it's so pretty. It is all good. I'll take this chalk off too. To take the chalk off, you can usually just kind of rub it. If it won't rub off, you can take a wet cloth, like just chalk. And if it won't, you can take some water and rub it off. And it'll disappear right off. Where stock on here. I'll go ahead and do that. There. That's good. All right, where else could we need to fray? Not there. Honestly, it's not too bad. Pretty good. Just pocket a little bit more. Just this one side. So match the top one a little bit better. See if it's, I think we're good. I'm trying to see, oh, there's a spot. Looks like I thought there had to be one more spot. This green spot's not got any. Do watch your fingers. I have poked a hole in my finger too many times doing this, because this is a sharp little pointy thing. I got it at Dollar Tree, but boy is it sharp. Try to remember to keep my fingers out of the way. It looks like to about there will match up with this other side. Okay. Good. Pretty good. It looks pretty. Yep. It should be good. Okay, that is our cover, guys. You can save this if you like to keep thread for putting behind things. Save those little bundles, and I have like a whole envelope full of them. I never end up using them, but I say I will. But then, you know, things happen. It doesn't happen, but I should. All right, so our cover is like this. Okay, we've got a good 2-inch spine on there. Lots of room. And this is our area for decorating, if we're going to decorate it. And then this will be our tie. Okay. I'll tie like that. So this area, I have to decide if I'm going to put anything else on there. It is pretty just like it is. I just don't know if it needs something more. I tried looking through my stuff and seeing if I could see anything. I found this little piece from some other material I had, and I was kind of like, should I put that there? Does that look good? I could put some padding behind it so it's thicker. I could put it like, it says hot cocoa warm up here. I could put it with this felt behind it. Maybe smaller than this. It's a little big, but put it with felt behind it. Or I could go to Hobby Lobby and see if I can find anything else. But what do y'all think? Should I leave it just plain, or should I try to decorate it with something? And even if I just make this outline a lot narrower, like just barely outlining, you know. What do you think? Do you guys like this hot cocoa thing? Does it seem within the right theme realm, you know? Should I wait and see if I find something else that's better? The fabric I have in stock, I just don't have a whole lot of options to put it there, to put on the face of this. Nothing really matches it. Um, so I thought about going to Hobby Lobby and looking at maybe ornaments and seeing if there's any fabric or padded ornaments that would match this real well, and see what they have. But in stock, this is the only one I had that really kind of looked okay with it. And it is kind of pretty. I mean, I like it. It's very kind of vintagey looking. What do y'all think? Any thoughts? What about you, Lori? Any thoughts on that? Should I keep it plain? Should I add a little piece of this black felt under it? The cover is more traditional than the cocoa. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing I was thinking. It's like the colors match, but it's more Merry Christmas traditional and not necessarily hot cocoa. This is almost more folk, I guess. So maybe that's the problem. All right, well, I will go to Hobby Lobby and see if I can find anything that just really, is perfect. And if I don't, then I'll just leave it plain, It's not the end of the world if it's plain. It's a pretty fabric. I don't know. I've always feeling like it needs more, like you got to do more for whatever reason. But for right now, I'm going to leave it like it is, and until I find something that I know looks perfect. The pine cones are very pretty. They really are. It's a pretty fabric, and it's got gold and everything's sparkly. Can you even see the gold? Let's see. I know the light never shows you all the pretty sparkles up there. I saw it for a second. Trying to get it to hit. There's gold sparkles on there, though. All of the fabrics. These have gold sparkles, too. But it never comes through on camera very well. Every now and then I hit it just right and you can see it. But yeah, I'm not seeing it myself. But it is there. They all have gold sparkles. So it all blends in nicely together. But that is our pretty little cover with our built-in pocket there and built-in pocket here. That will be great for our writing board. Okay. So that is it for today. We'll do more on Friday. And I am going to, for right now, well, I'm going to do Friday. And then I'm going to decide if I'm going to add in Monday. Not just for this one, but if I do decide to the little golden book thing too. So kind of wanted to. I just don't know if I'm taking on too much, and that happens sometimes. But I may try to do it if I add it in a Monday, because I got to have, it typically takes me an average of 10 to 13 lives to do a journal. The fall one, we did an 8. And I was pushing it. I was rushing it. But typically, I would say 10 is the average. And looking at my schedule, I'd love to finish it before Christmas. Nobody's probably going to get it in time for Christmas. So if y'all are looking at buying this, I'm going to say right now, chances of me getting it to you by Christmas is probably slim. I will try real hard to have it done before then, but you might not get it, by then. So, because it just takes me too long. So, but, it's a journal you'll have for years. It's not like it's only for this year. But I just want to put that out there. And I do have all those other Christmas journals from last year still in my shop. So I still have a lot of Christmas journals. But if you are looking at this one, just keep that in mind. The chance of me getting it to you by Christmas is on the slim side. There's a possibility. If I get it done, it takes average of 4 to 5 days to ship it. So if I get it done before Christmas, I could. But you know how mail is around Christmas time, guys. I'm just saying. It's probably slim. But you'll have it nonetheless for next Christmas. So that's kind of where we're at. All right, guys. I will be back Friday at 9 o'clock. And until then, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, take care. Bye-bye.